What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a special live with Lauren and Bryan.
Hello.
We are going to do possibly every Wednesday. This might be our weekly little show where we, I don't know, go into some kind of like podcast realm, spiritual astrology. I don't know. We don't know what we're going to do yet, but this is our pilot, if you will, of our little Wednesday show that we're going to do. So I hope you enjoy. If you don't know, for those of you who don't know, Lauren is my girlfriend, my partner, my love, my Pisces, and
because this is our first YouTube debut.
This is the first YouTube we've been on. So, I understand people on Instagram probably know this already, but if you just follow me here, this is my better half.
Everybody.
This is my better half. Also,
Hello.
I'm going to get another microphone eventually, but for now, this is all we got.
I'm a guest.
No,
Guest
you're the co-star.
No.
This is a teamwork show.
Yeah. Leo North Node, South Node.
Yeah, we have nodal flip. So
I'm just going to look everywhere too because this is so different.
we are going to look at Charles Manson's chart.
Oh my God,
with
yes.
You all, because, why not? Why not look at, some crazy person's chart and see what's up with it?
Good.
I haven't picked it apart yet, but I did pull it up, so it is on the docket, if you will.
Oh, it's a good one.
And who knows? Oh, yeah, shout out to
Shawnee
and Jake. They, are homies at Phuket.
Yes, that is
Phuket.
how you actually pronounce it. She was saying that.
Our homies at Phuket. It's French, of
French.
course. Very dignified. They, have a cool brand. And I'm just happy to support it. And I think that it's very like Saturn at the end of Aquarius, but it's also like Saturn coming into Pisces. Like, fuck it. Like we need a little bit more of that.
That's what always should have been.
In our life is a little bit of that. So it's fun and it's not too offensive, for what it is. So I like what they did with it and they keep it nice and clean. Shout out to Shawnee and Jake. Shout out to
they're amazing.
Phuket.
And it's on Instagram. It's all over. They have an amazing website and just to support. And she's amazing. She is a soul sister.
Soul sister.
Yeah.
Pisces gang. Oh, Ashley must be Pisces too.
Oh, there's the chat.
Oh, Lauren loves the chat. So if you're trying to ask some questions up in this chat, Lauren will catch it and she's down. So this will be a very interactive
before Charles
live stream.
Manson's chart though.
What do you got?
I feel like, hold on. Oh no, where did I put it?
Oh no.
Oh, that, I did this so that maybe you can, you can put it with the planets. That Vesta is going to be at 0 Aries tomorrow. So it's at 29 Pisces right now, which is pretty psychic. And then
Karma
look at
27.
Karma, with Pluto. I thought that was a big one.
And Mercury right now.
Yep. Hi.
All right. So Lauren wrote down some asteroids.
And Freya and Odin, the Galactic Center. That's a big one.
So... yeah, we'll talk about that, and I'll get your opinion on some of these too, because you go way more into the asteroids than I do.
I know, but the energy of these, of Odin, your third eye. It's like a seer, psychic. Being in Sag at the Galactic Center is a big deal. So anybody that has those placements, I don't even know where I'm supposed to look. Here. Anybody that has, well, I have 5 cameras. Anybody that has their placements at Odin's at 25, that's the Galactic Center. So, we all would collectively feel it, but if you have it in your chart and it's conjunct that, your third eye is activated. And he's with his boo, Freya. So, Odin and Freya, Norse mythology, they're like the twin flames of, see,
well, that's
Freya and Odin.
interesting that those two just happen to be together
They've
at
been
the same time
together.
that really we're seeing Jupiter and Juno transit Aries together. Juno is moving much faster and has passed Big Jupe, her daddy, if you will, not daddy, but Zaddy, if you will, Big Jupe.
Yes.
So it's interesting to see
There's a lot of couples.
a lot of the couple astrology playing out. And even
Yeah.
if you look at Chariklo, almost in that sextile over to Chiron from Aquarius, but Chariklo is so slow that
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of already played out.
I have
but
her and Chiron,
nonetheless,
though, in my chart together.
That's pretty crazy because that's probably the last time
I
they
feel like
conjuncted.
a lot of people do know. In Taurus.
You're very generational.
Yeah. They're
Yes.
like, yeah. And I got Isis and Osiris.
So you come from the generation of the healed relationships, here to heal relationships, huh?
Yeah, and to guide everybody to their true divine energy and soul energy, soul tribe, but really like in alignment, soul connections. That is why I'm here. I'm a Pisces. And not only that, I mean, I guess I just had my Venus return, but isn't it all month? Really? But it did just pass. But I'm having my white moon
It's
Selena
done,
return.
but it is, the Venus return is a chart for 18 months. So this is your new Venus cycle. We should look at that. I'm curious to see what that chart has for you, because it does deal with a lot of the Venusian qualities. That Venus return is just another deep layer. Every planet returns. Some take them much longer than others, but you can run a return chart for any, and it is a deeper, sort of underlying
Oh my gosh, wait,
layer.
this is hilarious. Uranus and Venus are doing Kama Sutra all over my chart, and I'm like, damn,
That's hot.
that's hot, Lana. That's really hot. I like how you...
That sounds freaky.
How you express that. That's amazing. Hi. Oh my gosh, I went off topic there. Oh, but also White Moon Selena, like there was so much Pisces energy. White Moon Selena's at 20, so really she's with Venus right now, and then they're all going to be together with Neptune. But my White Moon Selena is at 23 Pisces, so I'm in my White Moon Selena return too.
Dang.
And White Moon Selena in Pisces is like psychic.
I forget where my white moon is. I think it's in Gemini. I'm pretty sure it's in Gemini.
I'm pretty sure that it is too. What does dispositor mean?
A dispositor? A dispositor is...
Dispositor.
So say I have Mercury in Capricorn. Well, that Mercury is disposited by Saturn because Saturn rules Capricorn. So the sign that a planet's in, if it's out of its dignity, right? Because if Mercury was in Virgo, we wouldn't be like, well, where's the dispositor? Because Mercury is the dispositor. It's the ruler. It's Lord of the house. So the dispositor is if a planet is out of dignity or even in exaltation, what planet rules that sign? That's dispositing it. What sign is it in and what is going on with that? That's a dispositor. So I keep saying in my horoscopes, right? The dispositor of the north node is Venus. Dispositor of the south node is Mars, but also Pluto, co-dispositor.
I always get that stuff confused too. Okay,
That's
and
okay.
then let's talk about karma and
That's
Pluto.
exactly what I want to talk about.
And then we
karma.
can go into, yeah.
So tell me what you know that I probably don't know about the asteroid karma.
Well, I mean, it's cause and effect. It's just karma. It's not that I know anything.
It is.
Okay, I feel like I resonate with this energy a lot and know that it to be real. I mean, I feel like it definitely, I feel like it for sure affects us collectively because if I feel it in my own chart individually, but not only that, the fact that it's conjunct Pluto at the end of Capricorn, like there is, whether that plays out in this 3D reality, but I definitely think in people's wherever Pluto is in your chart, like transiting, that's where I feel like either stuff needs to be released or, I don't know, karma can also be forgiveness, but it's usually some type of, like, I don't know, something coming to almost like a full moon energy, I feel like that Leo full moon, like something coming to a culmination. Oh, what just happened?
We're good.
Oh my gosh, this is so different than the car. Yeah.
It's got a bunch of things going on at once.
And we're all like ADD and it's just like...
I couldn't find the battery for my other camera. So to run this camera, which it's a little messed up now, I'm just using like my iPad on photo mode. That's so Jimmy rigged, but hey, it works. I'm screen sharing it to
Karma's only going to be at on on Pluto for like maybe 2 or 3 days, but it doesn't, it's still like you can still like feel it. And so the reason though that I know this energy to be true is because I have Karma and Pandora, which is Pandora's box. So everybody should know where number 3811 and 55 is in their chart, because even when I've gone through past people's charts, whether that's in my family, relationships, or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, that played out. And I have it, at a karmic degree of 29 Sag. So I feel those two, when they get activated, oh yeah, shit goes down. And it's in my 4th house, so,
Pandora. Once Pandora comes out of the box.
Yeah, but Pandora too, the story about Pandora is very interesting, but that's for another time. I can go into a whole episode on the Greek or it doesn't have to be Greek, but the gods and goddess energy. I mean, come on, mythology.
I could always use a refresher on some of that stuff and maybe throw in my opinion.
That's all the energy we should be embodying right now.
Gods and goddess energy.
Of the highest exalted, like not toxic masculinity or femininity.
No.
We want it in the, we don't need any more shadow energy. I mean, if you're working on your shadow, I feel like that's great. And I feel like everything that, even with doing this Charles Manson chart, like, I don't know, did he ever reflect on his shadow? But... I guess he did, but it played out in a very public way. But I feel like I was thinking the other day about like if there is with, cult leaders or I don't know, these people that get people to like drink the juice, so to say, like that can spell people and like, like Jim Jones, like he got everybody to drink or they were in a sauna or I don't know. There's so many different ones that I'm getting confused. Warren Jeffs, like, oh my God, that guy. It's like there is a correlation. I was like researching because I do like to research charts of obviously like I love to,
decode. You do go by the divine
psychology.
Decoder,
My Mercury trine Pluto is like what. Yeah, it's all right there. Like Aaron Hernandez's chart, that was a very interesting one. That guy.
That was crazy.
His chart, but he is like Capricorn, fooled. Scorpio.
Yeah, and he had everybody fooled. Mm-hmm. Everybody. Crazy that you could reach that high of a public persona and have such a crazy undertone to everything you do.
And like Charles Manson wasn't even, well, I know we're talking about Aaron Hernandez, but that whole thing is like, right, there's so many layers to that. But I was just thinking that like Aaron Hernandez was at least an attractive guy. He could spell people too with his looks. Charles Manson, he did have, I think, Venus in his 1st house, but the reason why he could though is because like all of his planets are in Scorpio. So it was just like, like we've got to, we've got to. I don't know. Maybe at one point he was, and obviously that was like what in the 60s. The whole Sharon Tate thing, like it's wild. And I'm sure that. I guess he could have. Wow.
Just take a little look.
Like, yeah, that could have been a vibe that maybe ladies would. People wanted to marry him. Obviously, it's like Jodi Arias and that one guy that I showed you that she murdered. I think it's more
some
than
of these
looks,
pictures.
But, no, for sure.
There's like a, that seductive quality.
He was a spiritual seducer, is what he was, and that, it doesn't matter what you look like if you're a spiritual seducer. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that, Lana. Yeah, you're absolutely right. When people have an intense personality, it's like people are just spelled. It's like, yes, I will I will go wherever and do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like really when they're of the, a spiritual seducer really like of the dark, but in this reality, their avatar is light. Well, it's a false light. That's exactly what it is. It's false light.
Well, it's so Sagittarius, right? Mm-hmm. It's this idea that this one individual knows this special way This is the way. This is the belief. This is the path to follow. This will take you to Valhalla. This will take you to God. Becomes very religious and, in its own right? Cults and religion are very similar. So there is definitely like what I haven't looked at in Manson's chart, because I honestly haven't. I just pulled it up. I didn't even look at it. I'm going to definitely be looking for like what's up with some Sag, some ninth house, but then some Pluto and some Saturn. Like what's going on with those aspects, because I think that's where, Pluto's the manipulation too. And manipulating is an interesting thing because usually the person getting manipulated doesn't know it. It's so secretive, but it's not secretive. Like the person that might be doing it is kind of like, whether they're conscious of it or not, they know they're trying to get something.
No, I think a lot of people are conscious of it.
I would agree. But, the people that get exactly manipulated, what up, Shawnee? We're repping your shirts. Mm-hmm. But the people getting manipulated, they're just being, occulted by this power that isn't their own, that they're, following a vision. So
and they probably think, we can be the one that changes them or their perspective or whatever it is. And it's like, no. Oh, yeah, here we go. Look at all that red. Oh, wait, I just want to answer one thing, Bridget.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it will be part of the Pluto-Mercury conjunction, karma. I guess Mercury is... What's Mercury at 25?
Oh, Mercury's at 27.
Yeah, so they're all together. So, honestly... No,
it's crazy. There's some serious karma at this moment in time that is going to unveil something that I would say we become very conscious of.
Yeah. And I would look at wherever you can look up those asteroids, those two in your own chart, but really where Pluto is at in your, where it's been at since 2008. Like what in your life since 2008 in whatever house it's in has had to have been, God, mine's been in the 5th and 11th. Like I've had the people, oh my God.
A lot for me in my 10th or even first as a Capricorn. So very like first 10th house.
Yeah.
So.
Which you've gone through so much transformation with both.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting too, because I have Mercury at 25 Capricorn. So it's kind of
with
just
Hermes.
Right. My Mercury's conjunct Hermes.
You do.
Hermes. So maybe that's why I speak day in and day out and have been for the last, almost 3 years. April 14th. It'll be 3 years every day doing a video. Kind of crazy.
I know. You're so inspiring, babe. Okay,
it just went by so fast.
Go into his chart. What do you see?
I haven't even looked at it yet. I know I pulled it up here, but we started talking about some of the other stuff.
And I don't use this program, so I gotta...
So he is a Taurus rising, Scorpio sun. There's some serious Pluto energy right there. Venus sun conjunct, and it's that, combust Venus. And that is his chart ruler, so there's already something twisted. With a falled Venus, his chart ruler combust by the sun. This would be someone that would be so possessive, it would be insane. And it's in the 7th house of people and relationships and the other. So that's a very interesting quality that he just leads with.
Yikes is right.
He just leads with this intensity. It would have been interesting to have you seen video of him?
Oh yeah, he is. I understand. Like I really. Yeah. And back then too, you have to think of also like it was the 60s, so he was probably spelling people too that were just so fucked up on drugs and like everybody's like whatever this guy, this Venus. I'm sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. His intensity is what drew people in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He was almost apparent. To me, he's a shapeshifter.
Mm. And he had Jupiter on the 7th too, which is kind of, on this cusp, so on his descendant, which is pretty wild too, because it was almost easy for him to be this manipulator, this follow me, this I know. I know, and we're going to form whatever we're going to do. We're going to form this cult, this thing, and this is going to be what we're going to be known for, and it's going to give us power. But really, He wanted the power. He wanted everything. It wasn't about the people or the movement, which is where I think as a 7th house sun, 7th house Venus, he did stray. And that's probably why it didn't work. He's also got North Node Aquarius. So
People.
Right. And to really,
you have a
create...
North Node Aquarius.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got, North Node Venus,
he
North Node
could've-
Moon exact.
Obviously, he could have went, like, he chose which path he was going to take. He could have gone the Taurus way, or he went the Scorpionic way. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been having his Saturn return.
Yeah, because his Chiron was like, wasn't it in Aquarius too?
No.
Where is it?
He has Chiron in Gemini.
Oh, God.
8 degrees, which is right where Mars has been.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. And for some reason, we're randomly just brought up his chart tonight. Like, let's look at this crazy fool.
Yeah. He's... yeah. I don't... Like, how I was thinking about that a long time ago when I was thinking about him, I was just like, wow, like, what... It's when I was getting into astrology, and I was like, what is it that, like, just makes people be like, yeah, I resonate with this. Absolutely. And how he got, like, yeah, it's fascinating to me. I'm just like, well, I understand, but then yet I don't, because obviously being put in the positions that, well, I don't even know if, them choosing to put themselves in the positions they did, it's like, don't you think then you'd be like, oh yeah, this is fucking dark. Yeah, this is definitely a spiritual seducer.
Yeah, and someone says something must have happened to him at childhood.
Oh, well.
And I would say that, yeah, with an
sure.
Aquarius moon with the North Node and square Jupiter, and even square the ascendant, right? Because his moon at 4 Aquarius would have squared his ascendant and his descendant, and that Jupiter and Mercury at the same time. It's like right there at the midpoint.
He's got Lilith at 29.
So yeah, his family life and his probably like upbringing was probably maybe extremely disconnected. Parents probably did not love this kid.
No, I'm sure he was. Yeah,
I would imagine he was very neglected. Just. All he probably had was friends growing up. He probably didn't have much of a family life. No. He has Pluto in the 4th, so he already had an extremely intense family life. And what's interesting about that, too, is it's with Lilith, for one. Mm-hmm. But it is square Uranus.
Oh, yeah.
In the 12th. And Uranus in the 12th is another sign that usually the parents probably didn't want to have that kid.
Yeah.
Usually one or both parents didn't want to have the kid. It was completely unplanned. There wasn't a lot of excitement. They were just shook by it.
This is
Morningstar?
Yeah.
So your question is whether the subject was born wicked or evolved into that?
She wants you to click the sidereal button.
Oh, well, sidereal you can do in your head. 24 degrees back for everything. He's a lot of Libra. He's got Libra and the Sun conjunct. The Sun and Venus conjunct in Libra. He's got Jupiter in Libra, Mercury in Libra, ton of Libra. All that Scorpio goes to Libra. He'd be a moon in Capricorn, North Node Capricorn, Saturn Capricorn, Aries rising, Taurus, Chiron, And Pluto still would be in Cancer.
There's not a question whether he was wicked or evolved.
It's not really a question.
I think it's apparent without palmistry or
just kind of
sidereal or...
I guess we're just having fun.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Aquarius is a teacher, but there's a dark and light to every sign. So are you going to use it in an exalted way or in the shadow way?
Exactly. And I would say for him, he didn't really do he did his North Node, but in a really dark way.
And really Sag is the teacher.
Because, he did connect with people. He did bring people together. Dude started a cult. But it wasn't about everybody, and it wasn't about win-wins for everybody. There was a darkness to it where he was still the king, right? South Node Leo, like he was still the king, the one in charge, the top of the top. If he was really doing Aquarius, it would have been equal for every single person in that group. So
they want to know what his good qualities were.
He was probably very seductive. He probably had a way with words. He probably manipulated people. I know it sounds crazy, but if you probably came across this guy, he's probably way smarter than we give him credit for.
Oh,
and he
for
would probably
sure.
get so deep into your psyche
Yeah.
before you even understood what was going on that he already knew how to get you. He already knew how to hook, line, sinker. Like this dude would have been one of the best salesmen ever.
Absolutely. And he obviously with that moon, he could be like detached, but then with that Venus and all that Scorpio, he could be all in. Like he was definitely a shapeshifter.
Yeah, big time. And he had Mars too with Neptune, which is a really weird conjunction, and that's exact in Virgo. Mm-hmm. Mars Neptune is kind of wild. Usually this is going to bring up lack of confidence, major insecurities. What's interesting is Napoleon actually had a Mars Neptune, and it might have been in Virgo too. But that's kind of crazy because it's just a really weird conjunction. Again, this killer imagination.
Yes.
But the ability to be real and to see if what he was trying to do that for the betterment of people, because it's very likely too, he might have thought what he was doing was actually the right, better way to go about life. But it was kind of twisted, and it was some kind of delusional, identification where maybe he did bring it from the heart, but it didn't come out that way. It didn't come out that way when all was said and done. It was a little too twisted. But he probably came off extremely compassionate, even though he was probably a little, I don't know. This guy was you said spiritual seductor, and that's
seducer.
Seducer,
yeah. It was a lot of things.
Both. I think that's right there in the wheelhouse. And what's interesting too is he had that Pluto at 26 of Cancer, and it's in the fourth. And Pluto in the fourth house is usually a recent gender switch in evolution. So, this could have been his first life as a masculine, as a male gender, which is a wicked emotional ride for people when you have Pluto in the 4th or the 10th, because you're not used to the hormones, you're not used to the feelings, everything feels new, and it's hard to feel safe in the body. Yeah. And even with Mars conjunct Neptune, like this guy was out of his body more often than he was in it. And he had crazy emotional waves that, especially as a Scorpio, could have hid them, but when they came out, and that was probably where he convinced people to, drink this juice, even though that was Jim Jones.
Right, that was so many others. But no, he definitely, oh my God, how he felt inside, probably if somebody didn't do what he said or dismissed him or anything, he had to have felt this. It's so weird too with all that Aquarius and squaring, and this guy was definitely very conflicted inside.
Yeah, Moon square Jupiter is very interesting too, and a Moon in Aquarius will have some sort of a natural distrust for emotions naturally. Not that they won't be emotional, but they'll want to, figure out why they're feeling a certain way. And with Pluto in the 4th, he had so many feelings, and even a South Node in the 4th. I mean, this guy was just built on emotion. And that shows, too, with all the Scorpio, but just built on emotion. And that probably was what drove him insane right there. And the Moon does not necessarily want to be conjunct the North Node. That's not comfortable either. No. Because he had to do the responsible way to bring people together, and he just went the easy route of using his Scorpio to get people to do what he wanted because it made him, king still. So he didn't want to give up the throne.
Saturn in the 10th squares Sun Venus, yikes.
And Uranus and Pluto square and Uranus Lilith square. I mean, this guy was a wild card all the time, and he could burst at any moment. I'm interested to watch a documentary on the guy because I'm what did this guy act like? Because I really haven't studied him much. I know who he is, but
what's going on? It is fascinating.
So, and it's interesting too. Chiron at 8 Gemini. Speaking and communicating was something that he really was here to do and work on, and I'm sure he did a lot of that to get people to, follow him and to praise him and to, let him be the leader. But it probably wasn't always like that. He was probably very shy, especially Mars, Neptune, like I talked about. And in a wide square to that Chiron, he's probably extremely shy until he had some breakout moment at some point in his life, which very well could have been his Pluto square, with Pluto in Libra. When did he...
He died.
When?
I think it was like, I don't know, maybe, I don't think it was that long ago.
Like it looked like he got decently old. Like he looks like he made it into his 50s at least.
He made it 2017.
He died in prison.
Yeah, he lived a lot. He was born in 1934. No, he lived a long time.
Holy shit.
And he got like, it was very, I think he did get married in prison.
When was he most prominent?
But then he was known because of the Sharon Tate murder and all of that. And there's definitely documentaries and all that.
Let's look at like a timeline of Charles Manson, because just...
Oh, yeah, his post-interview trials are nuts. Yeah, we need to watch that.
What do they say about his early life?
Yeah, childhood.
Charles Miles Millis Maddox.
Army.
Oh, yeah, father in the army. That's usually a pretty hard upbringing for somebody, especially back then. That was like, dealing with World War II when he was, a child.
He set his school on fire when he was 9.
Damn.
So I'm going to say that. Yeah.
Scorpio, burn it down. Manson may never have known his biological father. That's, very interesting as well.
Yeah, he started his onset at, not a young
His
age.
mother was paroled in 1942. Manson later characterized the first weeks after she returned from prison as the happiest time in his life. Oh, he was happy to see his mom.
He was raped. With the encouragement of a staff member, he was repeatedly beaten. He ran away from the school 18 times. So, yeah, I mean, definitely his early life fueled that rage he felt inside. But I feel like Scorpios go through so much trauma. Oh, yeah, look at him there.
That was his first imprisonment. See, he was actually he was a handsome dude. He probably knew how to get what he wanted back then. But he did not like the rules. Moon in Aquarius, North Node Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius. He probably didn't. He was also had that Uranus, that big Uranus square to his Pluto. Like he didn't want to do anything by the rules.
Yeah, because it didn't matter how his parents were, because it's like your astrology really predicts that. Like, if you're going to be in a unfortunate situation. And whether,
San Francisco and cult formation, 1968. So 68 was Pluto I think it was just about to come into Libra, but it was still in Virgo. So he had Pluto, Virgo then, which would have been probably, I bet if we look at the chart, 1968. I bet. And I'm going to look real quick.
Yes, he was a Scorpio sun. Oh, what are you looking it up for?
I'm going to look to see what was going on in his chart, which it didn't update correctly. There. I want to see what was going on in 1968 for him. which was Pluto done with, but retrograding back. And Pluto moved a lot faster in Virgo than what we're used to seeing Pluto move. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pluto got really close. Okay, so it was done with the conjunction with his Mars and Neptune at that time. But it was making aspects to his sun, which was probably super empowering.
Vertex.
That was just the midheaven of this chart.
Oh, of his chart. Okay.
Of this this transiting chart.
I wonder when he had like outer planets on his vertex, that must have been powerful for him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Why are we looking up old Charlie?
Why? Oh gosh. Couldn't even give you a reason.
I think too, because that's just like the vibe we're in right now, because we're also going to go to, I don't know, we're very into like Pluto 8th house energy of like going into people's psyches.
Yeah. I like to, what was this crazy person thinking? I don't know.
We're going to go to a haunted house, so maybe.
So he was also Neptune. That was Neptune on his sun at that time too. So this was when he was delirious, right? Delusional. This was when things got real crazy. I mean, the dude was crazy. We saw him try to burn down his school.
People are asking, but there's so many people with that chart born around the same time. Not exactly, but that didn't become like that. I mean, it's because the soul, every 100%. Soul incarnates. We all have different paths.
Soul, no matter how similar a chart would be, like twins, for example, they're all going to be different. Nothing's going to be exactly the same. This is just like looking back. Anyways, you're right. Not everybody with a similar chart to him is going to start a cult and burn down their school. No.
Thank God.
No. But this was Neptune on his sun, so this was very whoa.
Thank you, Kimberly.
This was a delusional time in his life. And with his Venus, his chart ruler, around that time, he was definitely planning. Like, he had this cult in mind, probably like...
Yes, I agree, Cody. Yeah, it is. It is fascinating because...
In 66.
Yes, there's so much that goes into it that the 3D world plays out into it. Sure, drugs, alcohol, abuse,
that's the
sexually,
thing.
All that. But then, like, the soul, it's like we're experiencing too, like a...
Like, I could never imagine living a life like this.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just like
he probably was on his path. I mean, I would say that.
Oh, I would say it worked out as it was supposed to for him. Yeah. Unfortunately for, some of the people that crossed him.
Of course. But yeah.
But I have a theory on that too.
That I feel like everything is coming back.
That even the people he did wrong or murder or whatever the case was, is that there was already a contract in place. And this happens with all of us today, yesterday, whatever happens, we can look at, and whether it's a car accident where two people hit each other and they die, or a personal murder, like there was a contract there. Like there's no things don't just happen.
No.
Like, can we understand exactly why something happened? No, we don't get that power. We just try and do our best here as humans, but there are contracts written for everything, and that's fate and destiny and bigger than us.
And who knows what he did, like, in whoever he did come into contact with or whatever that contract was. It's like, maybe unfortunately they owed him something in this life, and it was, I mean, that is really how stuff plays out. It's like we're in this reality really reliving the past, especially people that we come in contact with that really trigger us, and we can feel that karmic energy, and you're just like, it's very 12th house. Are you a soulmate? Are you an enemy? Like, what, you have to go with your intuition with that and be very discerning.
South node on the sun too, in 66. That's crazy. The south node on my sun was recent in Capricorn. It was 2019. 2020, end of 2019 into 2020. That really changed my entire expression of who I was. So I think this, 1966 into 68 was when he made a huge shift about the identity of his soul and what he was going to do.
Right.
And I would say, yeah, fate played a part. He had to do some crazy shit. Pluto square Uranus, like he was here to be a fucking wild card.
Yeah.
So very
Thank
interesting.
you. No, and I guess, so why did we decide to go into, I mean, well, we love going into charts of all of this. And then of course I love going into, so when it's not this, I guess like the 8th house stuff, then it's like the soulmate stuff, 12th house, like June Carter and Johnny Cash and Paul Newman and like all of
We
like
could make a crazy
going into
shift
sinistries
to like
and like
soulmate
seeing
stuff.
Yeah, no, I
We
mean, I
could
love
leave
that.
serial killer, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to
behind.
go into the dark to go into the light. So, and we're going to a very haunted museum this weekend. So, yeah.
Spooky.
So it's like, that's kind of the vibe we're in. Like, it's very 8th house and spooky. And like, it has, well, this museum has the most haunted artifacts. So
It's
we're
if
excited.
you've ever seen Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, Zach Bagans.
It's Zach's museum. It's gonna be cool. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
edgy.
I'm so excited.
It's edgy. It's like, ooh.
This is so deep, you guys. That whole thing about fate and free will and where that line is something I think,
Yeah.
no,
That's an unpopular, like, spiritual truth of mine, too. A lot of people can't grasp that one, and
Yeah.
that's a hard one because
Because we're never going to understand it.
we won't fully understand it. And whether I'm right or wrong, I don't really know. Again, it's my sort of spiritual truth of the matter, but if it resonates.
And if you all, which I feel like we talk about a lot, obviously, on
The
Instagram
Watcher.
and all of our lives. Yeah, that's such a good show. Jeffrey Wolf Green, Pluto, like he talks about, I should go get the book.
He channeled Pluto like nobody's ever done before. It was crazy. He just like got this download and he wrote these 2 books in like a couple weeks.
These books
And they are detailed,
life
in-depth, like
changing.
books.
They will change your life. And
I call
it
this
is
the
a
Bible.
lot. Yeah. Like this is, you will know why you are here. The one is the soul's evolution through relationships. It's like Composite and Sinistry 2. And then the first one is the evolutionary soul.
The evolutionary journey of the
like,
soul. So to go back to on here we can zoom in on it. Take my face away. To go back on, like you mentioned, just because someone had a chart similar to Manson's, that they're not going to act that way. Absolutely. And Jeffrey Wolf Green teaches something really great in these books, and it's the we all have a different conscious evolution journey. It's not just our soul evolution, it's also the evolution of our consciousness. So there's different levels of consciousness. So we incarnate into these different tiers, and there's a consensus tier, which is Saturn, and it's very reality based and very
No, I need an armrest.
you can have it, and very, here it's present. I mean, I suppose the consensus consciousness would be what people would call NPCs,
No.
where they don't maybe have a higher connection to something else. They didn't come here for that. They came here to experience cold, hard reality, to follow the rules of that society, to do their best, to try and reach a level of maybe prestige or power, in that said society
And
that they were
you
born
should say
into.
what a walk-in soul is.
I'll go into that in just a second.
Okay.
I'm going to finish these 3 while they're on my mind. And then there's the next consciousness, and they all break down into sub-tiers as well. But here's the main 3. It's the consensus, then it's the individuated, which is more Uranian. So that's where you get more of your, like, sort of rebels, your anarchists, people that are not trying to live life by the system. In the 60s, the hippie movement, good example of, a lot of individuated consciousness at that time that was like, no, not going to do the same old that we've always been doing. Even now, you probably see a lot of individuated consciousness too. Anytime you see someone that's a conspiracy theorist, well, guess what? They are not. They're not in the consensus reality. They're not buying what they were told on the news. They're breaking away from that to figure out their own truth, their own individuated nature. So it comes off very conspiracy theorist, anarchist, rebellious, different. But that's where a lot of people are at too. And the bulk of people, it's 70% consensus. So it's a lot of consensus. And then it's 20% individuated on the planet. And this was when he wrote this in the 70s, I believe. So I believe that has shifted a little bit when I think about it myself. But anyways, he said that it was about 20% individuated, and the next tier was the spiritual consciousness, which was they wanted to merge back with source. They wanted to be one with all things. There was a high level of compassion. There's a high level of love to it. But at the same time, they are individuated. They're not just doing what they're told because they're guided by something more.
Yeah.
You know, and the desire to do right for that source, to get back to it, which becomes very service to others oriented through a spiritual belief or practice. And yeah, he would say that those were 10% of the population back then. So just to break it down, you could have the exact same chart as somebody born at the same place, same time, and they could be consensus. You could be spiritual. You're going to live out a completely different version of that chart based on the soul's consciousness that it chose to incarnate with, based on its evolutionary journey. And what he did say in the books too is there's no way to just know by looking at a chart where that consciousness evolution was at. The only way you could ever know that is by talking to somebody, having a conversation, getting to know them, asking questions. Then you can kind of make your own assessment on where they might be. But just looking at a chart will never tell you. Like I could probably tell you that Charles Manson, not consensus. Dude was definitely individuated consciousness. You know, obviously he did not do what he was told. So no. Anyways. Oh, and then what was your question, my dear? I was ranting.
Oh, just about like what Dolores Cannon, it was so, right? It was Dolores Cannon. I believe that's who we were listening. Yeah. When she said what a walk-in soul is. Because I mean, I really do think a lot of the times it's an awakening too.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it feels that way. She was describing a walk-in soul as a soul that you had predestined contracts with. That basically, when you decide to incarnate here, you had like your homie, your homie soul up there, maybe a twin flame, maybe a soulmate, possibly that energy. I got you. If it gets too hard down there, you know, come over and tag me in and I will finish the job. So the walk-in soul. So, you know, if people have a really hard life sometimes and they make a crazy turnaround, which, you know, can look like a dark night of the soul spiritual awakening for a lot of people in many cases. It's almost like that soul did tap out and then the other soul that was, you know, going to be a twin soul and soulmate kind of energy comes in and resolves the contracts in place and then goes on with the destiny and the bigger journey of what the main avatar was meant to be used for evolutionary growth.
Yeah, I totally agree. Zena, would the two of you talk about your sinistry chart?
We could bring it up.
What is it? I feel like, well, yeah, sinistry, but the composite's really where it all plays out.
We could look at both. Why not?
We have very 8th house, a lot of 5th house and 8th house. And yeah, our composite 8th house is, it's Aquarius. So it's an interesting one because 8th house is Scorpio. So it's interesting. We're past life lovers. We're
very
South
likely.
Node. We are South
very
Node.
Likely.
And our nodes are, I'm South Node Aquarius and he is North Node Aquarius. So we have that nodal. That's a very interesting aspect.
South Node Venus.
Yeah, I know. Why do I want to keep saying your moon? Your moon's and my Mercury are together, which is very like telepathic
South
vibes.
Node Venus definitely past life relationship.
With Juno and
it's kind of interesting. Usually it's the South Node person that owes the planet person something.
Really? Oh, really? You keep telling me you owe me something.
Actually, it might be the other way around. I might have said that backwards.
Yeah, I'm the South Node person. You're the Venus person.
Yeah.
Oh, are we switching roles here?
Let me think about that. I know the answer to it, but for some reason I'm fogged on it right now. So you point out something you want to share, and I'm going to think about that statement I just made that I'm not sure if it was right or wrong yet.
Well, yeah, but then the other very interesting thing, I mean, that's hard to ignore is, which again is the karmic aspect, and it's however it plays out, is that Brian's vertex is at 7 Libra, exactly conjunct my Saturn in Jupiter. So there is something very much to that, like to the same degree. And then my vertex is 17 Capricorn, which vertex is a point of fate.
On my
For
Saturn.
sure lessons, and it's his Saturn is literally on top of my vertex, so of course it's Saturn, right? Like, but you do, yeah, teach me so much, and I teach you things and
Absolutely.
expand your awareness too.
And we do one of our harder sinistry aspects is moon square moon.
Yeah, we have moon square moon.
Almost exact. And we also have Mars square Venus.
Yeah.
So, there's no such thing as perfect sinistry.
No.
It's just kind of how you accept the differences, right? Like my Mars in Sag is like kind of wants to be free and wants to do things and move about, and doesn't really want to be controlled. It kind of just wants to learn, and it does want to be positive, in Sag, but her Venus in Pisces is like this magical dream of a relationship, and it can almost feel like my sort of way forward is like I'm trying to do much more than maybe just a relationship.
And I'm taking up your whole 12th house.
But I think when we find compromise, because it is a relationship, and that's one of the most important things, it's like, well, I have to come into the dreamy little Pisces love bubble too.
Lana, that is true.
I can't just be out on, some crazy adventure, be a just Capricorn and just work. Like, I got to spend time, with the relationship and identifying with the relationship too.
Yeah, and all of my planets are in your 12th house, your subconscious mind.
Yeah, but where we have great aspects?
And we have Juno. The other thing that is very interesting, because obviously I'm 81 and Bryan is 89, so there is like a distance apart.
Yeah, we have different Plutos. We're different generations.
His Juno and Lilith are conjunct in Scorpio, as are mine, meaning all of that, is conjunct together. So there is this like, yeah, it's in Scorpio. So, it's definitely this unconditional, like passionate, but like also creative and like wanting to like really it's a very healing love for sure for me. And yes. It's definitely it is very like 8th house, like transforming in so many different ways.
So one thing is, actually, I'm pretty sure it's the South Node person owes the planet person. So I might have told you that wrong when I was talking to you.
Okay, because somebody wants to know.
I wanted to. I unfogged. It's the South Node person owes the planetary person something.
Yeah, and usually, first of all,
which isn't always a bad thing, because in this life it's my Venus, so she, owes me a relationship. She has to give me a second shot, because in our composite chart, we were married. Yeah, it looks like there was probably some shady business going on.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from past life work that I've done on myself, my past lives were cruel. Not all of them, but the ones I visited were cruel and mean. And yeah, so I was probably a dickhead, to be completely honest to her. But I will say that our best synastry, and probably why we get along so well and why things work, is our Mercury just aspects in general. It's moon Mercury, her Mercury conjunct my moon, but also my Mercury sextiles her Mars, sextiles her Sun. And Mercury is so important with a relationship, because you have to be able to talk and communicate and try to understand people. So especially somebody you want to be in a relationship with. So even if there's tension, or maybe you're trying to do something different, if you can talk about it, you can usually find a compromise. And, I feel comfortable when she talks. Like, I like to sit and listen when Lauren talks. Her Mercury's on my moon. And it feels good. Like I can like sit and just take it in and be like, oh, and I can, actually for an Aquarius moon, emotionally process what she has to say, which I think is important too, because she's like super Pisces. Minus that Mercury. It's Venus, Mars, Sun, and Pisces,
Yeah, and then Taurus moon and a Virgo rising. So I'm like, have a little bit of grounding energy, but then it's like fixed, or my moon is so fixed, which already squares my Mercury in my chart, which is another fix, like, so it's like aligning my heart and my head.
We also have my Pluto trines your sun,
Yeah.
which that's deep past life connection in its own right, but also a deep like desire to bond and to merge and to be together, and in not a super stressful way, but in a more harmonious way.
Yeah.
In a more let's work things out. Like, you see my soul and I see you for your soul and as you are and as you present yourself. And I think that there's like a level that aspect in itself can, bring a lot of understanding mixed with the Mercury, where you kind of understand my weird workings inside, where maybe not everybody would. Like, I might come off like I'm not weird, but I'm a fucking weirdo.
A grounded weirdo. All that Capricorn.
And then we have Jupiter, Mercury trine, but we also have Chiron, Venus trine.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's like
some
really healing aspects to our relationship at the same time.
Anybody that I've ever even been like involved with that's been closer in my generation, it's like my Pisces stuff squares that like I always have like Venus square Uranus with like in like their Chiron and Gemini. Like, it's never like I have positive like Saturn Chiron to me is so important in sinistry and in composite. Like, if you do not have harmonious Saturn Chiron, that is a hard one.
Very true.
That is a hard one. That it's like very karmic, and it's, the Chiron person's always going to be like giving more, and the Saturn person is, and another one, if you have sinistry with anybody, we don't have this, but I'm just bringing it up since we're talking about like South Node, Saturn South Node, when somebody's Saturn is conjunct your South Node, should just run.
That's a really hard karmic contract.
Oh, yeah.
That one's serious. Like, we have some serious Saturn stuff. Like, your Saturn squares my sun, squares my Uranus, squares my Jupiter. But your Jupiter's there, so your Jupiter kind of like,
I'm just like,
softens it up a little bit.
And all the Pisces.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, honestly, too, if we would have met at a different time and I wasn't like, awake or on my path, I would have been, a Pisces in their 20s is...
It's funny, though, for me, because my vertex being at 7 and your planets being conjunct that, but still being in those squares to my Uranus, my Sun, and my Jupiter, like, anybody that I was fated to meet that was going to not only provide me with growth and opportunity and lessons, but also maybe structure or learning how to relate better at the same time, would have to have those forceful aspects to me, because they wouldn't, like, I'm not supposed to be with someone who's just a pushover either. Yeah. Like, that's the other thing. Is like, I have to be with someone who is, can hold themselves in some place of authority with themselves, so that we can have a back and forth, or, come to an agreement, or, delegate things instead of an overpowering kind of relationship. Because I have Pluto in the 8th. Yeah. I've done the overpowering shit plenty of times. Like, I've been there, done that. Yeah.
Someone is asking, which I think is good. I mean, Saturn North Node, somebody Saturn conjunct your North Node, like, they're helping
they're going to teach you some serious lessons too.
But and that'll feel uncomfortable too, because it's your North Node, which people don't want to go to, but it really is like pushing you. Yeah. And it is definitely a lesson.
They would be a great mentor in some fashion. Yeah. In some way or another,
but
they're a huge mentor that it could feel like the strict teacher in high school that maybe the first semester you hated, but by the end of the second semester you were like, damn.
It's for your highest good.
Damn, if it's on your I actually learned something in that class.
Yeah. Yeah, Chiron conjunct South Node, that's heavy. The South Node person definitely wounded the Chiron person.
That your Chiron is getting squared by my nodes.
Yeah.
So that's a thing too. That's, but that's where I think that it has to be healing in second house and Taurus, for me, is like, maybe, maybe your presence is something that helps me find more self-worth and value, and maybe that's something that helps you find it too, because I find it, so you find it, And you know,
Yeah, babe, our love is very healing. It's a very healing love after a lot of like and I feel like also that we're very aware of like we're not in denial of what our sinistry and our composite is, where a lot of people are like they want to make it something that it's not. Like we're very adult. It's like I hope that this contract lasts forever, right? I'm a Pisces. But I feel like we know that it is from the past that's bringing us back together, and that no matter what happens, it's like it would never be anything that would, you know, ever be ugly. Like it would be like something that we like understand and have compassion, because it's about unconditional love and coming back together at like healing love. Like that's what it is. Like we look at it in a very exalted way where, you know, some people might be really fucking triggered by their sinistry and their composite and be like, oh my God. And like the transits, like Bryan feels like home. It feels like a hug. Like you could sit here and be like all of the 12th house that I have in his, or all of my planets in his 12th house. It's like when you look up that kind of stuff, they're going to be like, oh, that is, you know, karmic. And sure, everything's karmic. Everything's cause and effect. You know what I mean? But Bryan, I have contracts with people that I've got their 12th house in mine and theirs, and I'm like, ooh, this feels uncomfortable. Like, because what's 12th house? Your soulmate or your enemy? I mean, it can be many things, but it's like you can't, it's a million shades of gray. You're never going to know. It always
depends on how the person acts.
Yeah.
Like their chart can say one thing, it can have some really hard aspects to yours, but if that person is a genuine person,
yeah,
it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be so bad. Sure, there could be lessons along the way. That's life, but it's going to feel more like a hug. Like, hey.
Yeah, it's just comfortable. And then other, you know, you can feel it, and it's very like karmic. Like Bryan doesn't feel karmic to me, even though like, yes, we have karmic aspects and it's like a karmic past. I really feel like we're actually, two energies and souls coming back together to correct karma from a past life, not to come back and like keep going at it in this life.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is our composite because people want to see and we
were
talking about it. But it's a pretty wild composite chart. It's crazy because we did start officially like dating each other when the North Node was transiting 13 Taurus, and that happens to be our North Node. But with all that Scorpio and all that 8th house and South Node Scorpio, South Node Pluto, like 100% there was a past life relationship, a marriage of sorts. It was intense. It was probably, you know, overpowering and overbearing in one fashion or another. But that's where our relationship's meant to evolve, is that we can both have like value and we can both win and we can all like, and we can find some seriously beautiful, deep connection, but also learning at the same time that like there does have to be compromise. It can't be one-sided. It can't be just all manipulated. It has to be really, we can both win no matter what we're doing if we talk about it, if we communicate, if we express it. So it's very
and we have Saturn vertex.
It does have to be like
composite.
free. It's like an intense merge in this life, but with all the Aquarius and an Aries moon even, like there still has to be individual, you know, appeal. There still has to be the individual. There still has to be maybe the wants and the needs and the desires of what each soul wants to do. And as long as we can understand that part and that uniqueness of what their journey is, even if maybe it does differ from one of our journeys, then I think it can be there. But yeah, Mercury, Sun, Mars in the 8th. Of course we like looking at spooky things together. Like, we don't want to talk about some crazy, you know, psycho Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, you know, my last relationship, I didn't talk about any of that shit. But with Lauren, I'm like, yeah.
Oh my God. It's like sometimes we talk about the craziest shit. It's just like, yeah, where other people would be like, what? Like, what are you even saying? It's like, right, you just like get me. And it really does matter how evolved two people are, because like I've done the student teacher thing. That never works. It's like, that's definitely a contract. And that's like, because you have to be able, I feel like the most important thing besides, the obvious in a relationship of like Scorpio energy and merging is how you can communicate. Like Mercury signs between people and Mercury between your moons and stuff like that is so important. I mean, you have to be able to communicate. Because if you don't, there's no 11:11. Oh, is it 11:11 where Elizabeth is at? Yeah, because it's 9/11 here. Yay, make a
And
wish.
really, we met with Mars on our ascendant.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy
so
before it went retrograde. That was when we like really first started like seeing each other. Kind of crazy. And then it retrograded back over Chiron. It's heading back towards Chiron. It's in the 12th. Like if we survive Mars leaving Gemini,
Yeah,
like,
right.
we passed
Oh
the
my God.
crazy spiritual test.
I agree.
And like if we were able to accept each other and love each other and, almost be Chariklo and, uplift each other's Chiron. And a lot of that does come with communication. And I think also the abstract in the 12th too, like because we're both spiritual in this life and we do astrology and we believe in, this bigger thing.
Yes. Like we want to
That
explore
it's easy
the
for us
mysteries.
to go into all that stuff and to have those talks. And of course it trines the sun. And the sun does square the nodes, which is another super fated aspect. And something that we're working on is that Aquarius energy, which again is really win-wins for both parties, no matter what, no matter how deep or how intense things ever get, that, we can kind of always remain really good friends. Like that's kind of no matter what the destiny is like, we're good. We're cool. Maybe we had a contract, maybe not. Of course we did, but like whatever, it didn't go on. The contract ended for whatever reason. If it does,
and that there's
friends is exactly what
unconditional
we're meant to
love.
be.
Like it's not anything that's definitely the most exalted relationship that I've been in, and it's helping. It's just healing because of all the other past like relationships and stuff and conditioned relationships that we've been through. That is just like not, it's if we would have met at any other time, it's like we would have been, we wouldn't have been together. It's like we came together when we were meant to, and the South Node was on your Pluto. So it's almost like it was bringing something back to him. Like South Node was transiting over his natal Pluto. And so it's like bringing, like a person back, because that's what South Node over Pluto could be. It's bringing something back from the past, but not that in this life from a past life,
Yeah, that South Node's going to cross over our composite Pluto here in the next month.
Yeah.
So that's a big moment. And I think too with Saturn on our Venus, like, and Saturn squaring our Saturn and our vertex in transit in our composite, like we have had an interesting last month.
Oh yeah.
And
and Saturn's been all over my
I feel
Mercury
like-
moon and your moon.
really when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, yeah, the last month has been great. But there were moments of like, whoa.
But
Whoa.
nothing.
But not like we were fighting each other or anything. Just
No,
it
it's
was
just
usually
holding
actually-
each
it was
other
usually
accountable.
An external thing that happened that was like causing some kind of a stress or strife, and then we got to talk and communicate and come back to each other.
Yeah, and I just feel like we equally give like so much like space to like all this. Like I respect all this, and he respects me. Like it's just, I don't know. It's easy. And that's what a soulmate does feel like. You know what I mean? A soulmate is like a hug. It's just like, it's not work. When something is karmic, okay? You can feel that. And it's not that we don't have karma, but it doesn't feel like where your nervous system is just like, you're like jumping out of your body, like you just know. And you can tell too by how people interact with each other, like body language. Oh my God, people don't even need to say anything. It's like body language is, because words lie, energy doesn't. I mean, it's really
right.
like, and how people show up and that's really all that matters for anybody that's in any type of relationship. And again, karma is just cause and effect because people are so triggered by that. But it's all lessons, you know. Saturn and Pluto come to be like, are you in alignment? Because if you're not, I don't care how like scorpionic you are holding on to that, I am ripping it away, because you already have lost yourself and you're going to keep losing yourself. You know, it's like, it's all for our evolutionary journey of the soul. I think this was an amazing, I think next time we should do, that you guys should write in the comments what you would like to see from us.
I think we want to make like a little podcasty type show on Wednesdays here. So
yeah,
this one was just kind of a, babe, you want to do a live? Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
Sure.
What do you want to talk about? Let's just do it. Okay. How about Charles Manson? Okay.
Oh man, this one person in the chat, I'm like, we gotta go, because this person in the chat's trying to school us.
Well, that's fine.
I cannot anymore. It's like, oh my God.
Who's the author? Jeffrey Wolf Green. Jeffrey Wolf Green. But yeah, so if you have anything that interests you, we'd love to know what some topics are that we could, you know, maybe have a more structured show. And hopefully I get my other camera, a battery for it. I let, you know, a wild wizard take that camera on a wild journey.
Yes.
Dylan, I let him borrow my other camera when he went on his escapades to all over Europe, you know, and Egypt and all these places. So
thank you.
I'm so glad that he got to use the camera, but I am missing a piece that I gave him from it. So
Dylan's a wizard. He is next
I'm sure
level.
he'll probably he probably just heard me.
Yeah.
Ping! He's like, oh yeah, I got that.
Next level.
Yeah. So another camera and a little bit more structure, but nonetheless, this was fun and it was cool to have, you know, 55 people in here with us at one time.
When will we be in the age
what up,
of
Cody?
Aquarius?
Good to see you.
Maybe that's what we should end with. When will we be into the age of Aquarius?
Well, I think we're on
A
the cusp,
long
and we're
time. We
coming.
all will not be
we're
here.
coming into the trend. Like we're the kind of the way showers of the age of Aquarius, and I think that's
But,
why so many
babe,
people resonate with it.
I know.
But y'all,
But when is it coming into Aquarius?
we won't be into the age of Aquarius until 2500.
So we got a long ways to go, everybody.
And the reason for that is because the ages are defined by where the sun is at in a sidereal zodiac on the spring equinox. And right now, you know what?
No, babe, please. Oh,
No, okay.
please don't
Maybe
entertain
I'll
this.
save this for another.
Please do not entertain this.
Maybe
No.
I'll save this for another time. But on the
Okay.
spring equinox, wherever the sidereal sun is at, that's how you know the age. So it came into Pisces at about 0 AD. But it's at 6 degrees now, and it takes 73 years for that sun in the sidereal zodiac to move a degree. And
Yeah,
for
and
any
we're
pla-
not
you know,
sidereal astrologers.
but
so.
it's great for the ages because that is the precession of the equinox and how it factors into the ages. We're still in the age of Pisces, and we have, you know, we in this lifetime we won't see what the real age of Aquarius is, but I like to think we're way showers for it, and I like to think that for doing that job and coming here into the destruction of the age that we incarnated into, and so many changes that are taking place, that we get a place at the peak of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah,
and we get to see
of
what
course.
it is we helped, you know, bring in by being conscious, aware, and, you know,
Saturn's been
Aquarian,
helping us
and trying to create a win-win for humanity. Humanity has been absolutely suppressed and taken advantage of for too long, and that shit doesn't fly in Aquarius. So
Thank you so much.
love you all. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.